Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, November 29th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Oh, it's not a drill, my friends. It is go time. Cannot wait. We are a little more than 24 hours away from kickoff. Ohio State, Michigan. Buckeyes favored by 3 touchdowns. We're going to get J-Book's prediction, my prediction. We're going to delve deep into this matchup and much more. I just love it. I love that we're finally here. We're counting down hours, not days. It's just beautiful. Also beautiful is Mando. Today's show is sponsored by Mando Whole Body Deodorant. I love their products, as I've been telling you guys. And we have a great deal for you guys, so you can check it out yourself. Mando was developed by a doctor, and it gives you 72-hour odor control. If you've been using the same deodorant for several years like I was, it might be time for something new, something better, and that is where Mando comes in. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers to secure some last-minute stocking stuffers as well. And, at your tailgate, you want to smell good at the tailgate. You don't want to be got the guy that stinks at the tailgate. So the starter pack comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code BUCKNUTS at shopmando.com, shopmando.com, code BUCKNUTS. Please support the show and tell them that we sent you. Don't let BO keep you on the bench. Smell better with Mando. Oh, buddy. Always love seeing J-Book on a Friday. Always. I really love seeing him on the Friday for the game. Good morning, my friend. Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm
Hey,
fantastic.
man, it's like Christmas Eve over here, man. Day before
That's
the
right.
Michigan game, it always gets you in the feelings, man. Lindsay says here, I'm nervous. My belly hurts already. Hey, I know that feeling.
Yeah, I know. It's supposed to. That's all right.
For era, we know that feeling.
It's supposed to be that way, right? I mean, you're supposed to have some nerves, right? As they say, I love it. And we got to give everybody uses this now. Billie Jean King, I believe, crafted it. Pressure is a privilege. I love that. I love that term. Pressure is a privilege. Because if you have no pressure on you, and then you ain't playing for anything. Nobody
Right.
cares. You're not playing in a big game. All right. Speaking of a big game, let's just get right down to brass tacks.
Ooh.
All right. Not our friend brass tacks, the listener, but let's get down to business. All right. Prediction time. Let's roll.
All right. I have it. 34 Buckeyes, 17 Michigan.
We're pretty close. I have 35-12 Ohio State.
See, we're close. Hey, we're always right there within range, Dave, on the
yeah.
Friday show.
So you give it to me again. What do you have? You have 30. Give it to me again.
Hold on. Oh, sorry. 35-17. 35-17.
Oh, wow. We're really close. So I have
Yeah.
35-12. You have 35-17. Jeez. Like we are. It's always crazy how close we are.
I know it.
I mean, last week I almost got it on the nail. So last week's score was what? What was the final score last week?
We were close last week.
We were very close last week. Yeah, I super close. Super close. Oh, there's my alarm to tell me the show is starting. Yeah. Why is this telling me that like 5 minutes late anyway? Oh, I think it probably
For the Ohio State listeners, Dave, we'll let them in on the joke here. Some of the audience down in listen to the Bill King show out of Nashville, Tennessee, also are kindly enough to tune in here to the Bucknuts Morning 5 every Friday, and they have been keeping a chart every week to see how close Dave and I's predictions have been, and it's usually been within at least a touchdown, Dave, throughout the entire season. Whenever you look at the average, so we've been fairly close throughout the season.
Hopefully, we're like not close this week because Ohio State blows them out, and it's not just a comfortable win like we're both predicting.
Right.
But just a shellacking. Part of me wanted to go that way, J-Book, but I just find Michigan is going to, they have a good defense. I don't think Wink Martindale is that good of a defensive coordinator, but he at least he was an NFL defensive coordinator. It's not like he's a joke.
Yeah.
He's almost like a Don Brown 2.0, maybe a little bit better than Don Brown. I don't know, but and they have some dudes on that defense, but no Will Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
At least we're pretty sure. I mean, I was talking if he played.
I was listening. I was always curious about what's been going on with him and just kind of venturing over to the Michigan boys. And let me tell you this. It is absolutely crickets over there on the Michigan boards leading up to this game. I was thinking it's like, oh, it's gonna be a little smack talk, a little back and forth going on. Nope, just dead. They kind of know what's headed their way. The freight train is a runaway train coming tomorrow. But just venturing over there to the Michigan boards, it sounds like he has turf toe. That's kind of what a lot of people have been hinting at. Colston Loveland is another one that is a major question mark. If he's not playing tomorrow, Dave, I mean Jim Knowles better have 10 in the box because there is nothing as far as any type of downfield passing attack that's going to be able to contain him or contain this defense because just blitz. Davis Warren, he struggles against the blitz. Just stack the box, make them try to throw the football down the field, which they're not able to do. So I looked at this game, Dave, just thinking about it, looking at how Ohio State has played early on. First half, I can see this being a kind of a back and forth game because Ohio State never starts fast at all. As much as we all want them to start fast and jump out on people, but if they do jump out on them, Dave, now you're creating a situation where Michigan does not want to be in that type of game where they have to get out and run. It's going to take a little bit to adjust to the cold. What are you seeing, Dave, as far as the kickoff temperature?
It's not as bad as people think. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps ticking up a little bit. People are saying, "Oh man, it's going to be like 23 at kickoff." It might still be in the 20s at kickoff, but it's going to be sunny. And it's going to get up to now. My app says it's going to get up to 33 on Saturday. Now, that doesn't mean during the game. That probably means like probably near the end of the game, it'll get up. But like my point is, with it being dry, if it's like right around 30 and it's sunny, that's not
Yeah.
bad at all.
And I wouldn't be shocked, Dave. And we put it in our column that Pat always posts to the Bucknuts board as far as the staff and where we see the game, how it's going to play out. And in my situation, I put it to where 1 second.
Dietrich says hi to him, and he got so flummoxed. He just everything just fell apart on his end. That's the Sanchez effect right there. There we
Sorry,
go.
Dave.
Good, man.
But how I see it playing out, Dave, is I see a situation to where it's going to start slow, and then this is the best third quarter football team in all of college football. So if you guys are betting people, watch that live line as the game progresses because Ohio State have been an absolute ATM when it comes to betting on them on the third quarter. It's something absurd, Dave. I tweeted it out, but I mean they have been absolutely destroying teams in the third quarter, just covering the spread easy. That's when I see this game really taking off. I would love to be wrong. I would love nothing more to have this to be a stress-free game where the Buckeyes jump out by 14 points early in that first quarter, just hitting Michigan with haymakers, getting them against the rope, and Day just going for the absolute knockout in the second half. I hope that's the way it plays out, but I'm just looking at the way that these guys have played all season long, and they're a slow starting football team that turns it on. We're getting a lot of blowouts in the comments, Dave.
I mean, here's the thing, man. I mean,
You guys keep giving your blowout, give your prediction scores. I mean, my goodness.
anything can happen, but like, man, I mean, I talked about on Wednesday's show, my confidence level from 1 to 10 would be like a 9.5. Meaning I give Michigan like a 5% chance. And that seems a little generous because Ohio State would really have to implode. Michigan would have to play their A game, and Ohio State would have to implode. Michigan playing its A game is not going to be enough because whatever their A game is still means you have a limited offense. Yeah. I don't even have them scoring a touchdown in this game. They've got the best field goal kicker in the country, so I got them kicking 4 field goals.
Yeah.
But and that's not going to beat Ohio. It's just Ohio State's defense is the best in the country, not just statistically, which they are. They're the number 1 total defense in the country, number 1 scoring defense in the country. I think they're just the best defense, period, and that will be proven in the playoffs. But not only that, they're going up against an extremely – I don't know, I'm not breaking news here, JB – an extremely limited Michigan offense. One of the worst offenses that we've seen, probably the worst Michigan offense since 2008, when
Yeah.
Nick Sheridan was their quarterback.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those offenses that now give them credit. They did put up 50 points last week. Now, who knows if it's true or not? There's been some people that speculated that Sharon Moore um, was much more involved in the play calling last week. So you saw the Michigan offense that was rolling. Now, they do have a good running attack, Dave, and we've seen it. I mean, we've over the last 4 years, we've watched this Michigan's offense, and the collective thought over the last several years that this Michigan offense was terrible. And somehow we all knew what they were going to do as far as running the football, and we couldn't stop it. The biggest thing for me, David, this defense has to get off the field, especially in the fourth quarter. That's been the biggest thing that we've had to deal with is the defense not being able to get off the field when it needed. The other aspect of it too, Dave, that I look at it is, and no disrespect to these guys, Malik Harford and um, Josh Proctor were your starting safeties last year going into this game. What a major upgrade that you have at the safety position going into here with the Caleb Downs, the Thorpe Award finalist, and Lathan Ransom, Mr. Peanut Punch himself. Did you see that? Did you see that peanut punch he had against Indiana?
Oh
Like
yeah, I
that
did.
thing is
From behind.
lethal, man.
It really is, man. Dude's got it's precision. He's like one of those boxers that like he just knock him out with a jab. It's like, yeah, he just did. Yeah, that thing is precision, man.
Yeah, so I going into this game with those two guys on the back end, as opposed to what we witnessed last year. I mean, if Malik Harford gets his head around, it's a totally different football game when they scored that touchdown that went right past his face on one of those JJ McCarthy throws. Now you look at the running back position; they are much healthier at the running back position compared to what they were last year.
Or the year
Last year,
before. Yeah.
yeah, last year it was it was the walking wounded as they were headed down the stretch. So I do think that Ohio State, and you add in the motivation factor. Did you see Ryan Day's comments this week when he was sitting down with the local news station? Holy moly!
Yeah, I mean that was crazy. Like when that if that doesn't and like it doesn't surprise me he feels that way. It's crazy.
Yeah.
If you don't understand the Ohio State Michigan rivalry, you probably think, wow, he's got his priorities out of whack. No, he gets it. Now, and it doesn't surprise me he feels that way. It did surprise me that he was honest enough to like let that out there, because to even put that into words to say, other than when my dad committed suicide, this is the worst thing that's happened to me, or at least one. I was like, damn, like I literally I was taken aback. I was like, I can't believe he said that. But like, I mean, it just goes to show like how much this means to him. And Jay Book, I loved being over there on Tuesday. Not only speaking with Coach Dave, but then we got the 4 captains plus Will Howard. So basically the 5 captains. And just how much they want to win this for Coach Dave. They want to win it for the seniors. They want to win it for themselves, of course. But like, and for the team in general, but they are going out of their way talking about how much they want to win this for Coach Day. So there's definitely a genuine love. Let me ask you this. So obviously the one matchup that would be a concern for Ohio State on paper would be Ohio State's offensive line against Michigan's D line. Where are you at on that?
I 100% agree. Say what you want about Michigan. They still have NFL talent in the trenches, especially right there in their interior. Those guys will be playing football on Sundays. It's going to be a tough battle for those guys in there. I'm curious to see how the Buckeyes are able to run the football, because if you get in a short yardage, man, please just don't line up in the pistol formation with the running back 8 yards deep when you need 1 yard. Just push Will Howard into for the first down into the end zone like you've been doing. Like last week, that drove me crazy, Dave. Down on the red zone, running a pistol on 4th and 1. Running back sitting 8 yards deep and has to try to get 10 yards just to get the touchdown or the first down. Like, come on, man.
You got a 6'4", 235-pound quarterback, and you've been great with Q sneaks all year. What are you doing? I think
I know it.
Will Howard a lot,
it made zero sense.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, Michigan's secondary, they're average if you're trying to be kind, below average. Like they don't have anyone who's going to be able to check these wide receivers. The question is going to be, and you know it's coming, um, Dr. Blitz 2.0, Wink Martindale. You know he's going to be trying to send the house, especially on passing situations. Can this offensive line give Will Howard enough time to get through his progression? If they can, you better believe, Dave, that this passing attack will eat those boys up on the back end there. I can see a situation where Emeka Ibuka goes off. It doesn't matter. Like one of the three wide receivers, they're going to go off. Who's going to be the fish in Michigan's secondary? Once they locate who the fish is going to be, that's when it's go time on the passing attack here. Because and that's the thing, Dave. If Ohio State gets them off balance, and you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a mesh game. You remember when when Dr. Blitz Don Brown was consistently sitting in the house, and Tom Herman just absolutely destroyed him with the mesh routes coming across the middle of the counter, what they were doing all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of that, a lot of those concepts again this year. Put those defensive backs in the trailing situation, and if they do, you're going to have a situation where it's going to create a lot of yards after catch for these wide receivers.
And Ryan Day, when he was offensive coordinator in 2018, same deal. He just cooked on Brown, like crossing routes. We saw Chris Olave come out of nowhere, had the first 2 touchdowns of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I called Don Brown Dr. 62 after that game. Buckeyes put up 62 on him.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was still one of my, because Michigan came in here as a slight favorite. Ohio State might have ended up at 1 point favorite by kickoff, but Michigan was favored all week. They might have still been favored at kickoff, and Ohio State just kicked the crap out of them. Ryan Day called a great game that day.
I want to touch. I want to hop back real quick to Ryan Day's comments, Dave. Those comments right there, it really struck me as someone who was willing to do everything in their power not to lose that game. And I think he's kind of crossed that psycho Buckeye demeanor when it comes to Michigan. Because when you're born into this rivalry, you know you don't want to have that feeling for a whole year of losing to those guys up north. You will fight, you will crawl, you will do everything that you can not to lose that game. And there were a lot of people within this fan base that said that Ryan Day didn't get it. He didn't understand it because he wasn't born into this rivalry. He's not an Ohioan. Um, but when he makes those type of comments about the pain and the hurt, um, any man would not want any man would do everything in their power not to feel that pain and hurt again. And Ryan Day making those comments tell me that he is going to leave it all out on the field. And I think he's kind of crossed that line, Dave, to he's one of us. He's definitely one of us. When you talk about, man, that pain is next in line to when I lost my father. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
I was talking to the father of, I'll just say, one of the members of the 2020 class. Those guys still, and then the 2021 class as well, the 5th-year seniors and the 4th-year seniors. None of those guys have gold pants. Of course, nobody younger than them, nobody on the team has any gold pants. But I remember talking to the father of one of these guys, and they said all year, and leading into the Michigan game in 2021, that they hated Michigan. I asked him, you guys, they didn't really know what hate was until they actually lost, and he said that's exactly right. And now you triple that. This was a conversation we had after the 2021 game, so you're absolutely right, man. I mean, Ryan Day, it probably only took one for him to feel that way, but my gosh, for like 3 straight years, and we know other factors were at play. We're not going to act like we don't know about Connor Stallions, but all right, I'm going to ask you about. We're going to get into much more stuff. I think Will Howard's rushing is going to be a big part of this game. I'm going to ask you about that. Of course, I'm going to ask you about David Sanders. Before we do that, I want to let everybody know about Cornbread Hemp. Returning as a sponsor of the show is Cornbread Hemp, because you guys keep buying it, which is great, using the code Bucknuts, because we have a great deal for you guys. Cornbread invented the first USDA organic THC edible, and it's legal for anyone 21 and above across the United States. The gummies have 10 milligrams of THC per gummy for just the right dose. perfect for taking off the edge without making you feel anxious or paranoid like other cannabis edibles. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give cornbread hemp a try. Again, they've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that's 100% legal. As a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, I should remember the name of my show. As a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use promo code Bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour.
Hey, we got another 1,600 on Twitter here, Dave, watching it live right now. So, hey, it's a big boy. You can tell it's a big game.
And look, do you see the number right there, the top left, next to where that says live? That's how many are watching live on Twitter, Facebook.
I can't see it. I can't see it on your end.
You can't see it?
What do you got?
So we got 2764 total right now. That's right now listening, watching the live show. 27 now it's up to almost 2,800. So thank you everybody out there for watching, and thank you everybody who's listening to the podcast only version.
Give those likes on the YouTube, please.
Yeah. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to our page. It doesn't cost you anything. Just it helps us out though. So subscribe, all that stuff helps. If you're just listening on like Apple Podcast, wherever you're listening, and you can give a review or give 5 stars, all that stuff helps. But yeah, like J Book's saying, on YouTube, please subscribe, please like. Huge audience here. Love it. It must be J Book. It must be like the day before the game or something. All right. I think Will Howard's rushing is going to be a big part of this game tomorrow. I mean, everything's going to be a big part of the game tomorrow, but you can tell, I mean, they've been kind of saving that just for big games. And I think they're going to bust that out. I mean, you don't want to major in it, but I think there's going to be more called Q runs than what we've seen typically.
Yeah. I think we'll see a little bit of the legs. That's a great equalizer as far as the numbers. If Michigan wants to be heavily aggressive, then you definitely can go ahead and utilize his legs. Now, something that I wrote about just a little bit in our staff column, Dave, is I think if Will Howard has an outstanding game here, the Buckeyes win, turns around, has a big game in Indy, I think he has an outside shot to get invited to New York, Dave, for the Heisman ceremony. He's not going to win, but it's a huge honor. It would be a huge honor for the program to say, hey, look, Will Howard came here. People were doubting him. People were saying Cam Ward should have been the guy. Cam Ward would have been outstanding here. But everything that Will Howard has done so far since he's joined this program, Dave, he has put on a master class on how to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. I mean, he gets up there, talks to the media every Tuesday, doesn't have to, by the way. He's not required to do that. When he makes a mistake, he owns it, and he goes out and he absolutely plays his butt off. And I think he's done a great job, balancing, talking a little smack, which he loves to do, and then also giving the opponent, their credits and respect. So I love the way that he's actually, carried himself as being a Buckeye. And the one thing that you can really say about it, he is all about the team. Like, one of the things that he mentioned, Dave, that really struck me was he talked about how much he loves being a Buckeye, how much he loves being in Columbus. He does his local charity work. And he loves being part of the foundation with those guys over there who's doing a great job with the NIL. If he has an outstanding game and they just BTA, Dave, belt to ass to Michigan, and Will Howard is a main catalyst of that. Where do you think that cements him in Ohio State legacy as far as quarterbacks? Because I think people coming from Kyle McCord to Will Howard and how it's a complete 180 on their leadership and personality. Where do you think he will stand? Like how he will be viewed?
I've been thinking about this a lot. Obviously, it'll depend on what happens after that. But let's say he has a huge game against Michigan, they win, and they at least go on to, maybe they don't win the national championship, but they don't then just lose to Oregon and then lose in the first round of the playoffs. They at least win 1 or 2 postseason games, let's say. I would compare him to maybe like though we'll look back on him as like a Joe Germain type of better, even though Will was only here 1 year and Joe was here 3. Joe only started 1 year because of Stanley Jackson. Although he did start the final game of his, was that his, the 96. That would have been his sophomore year. So, but still, it'll be similar to that. Now, if Will Howard goes on and wins the national championship, oh boy. Oh my gosh, it's going to be like legendary type stuff. It's going to be legendary type stuff. It's people compare him to Krenzel. Like, it's like, go back and look at Krenzel's numbers. I know it was a Tressel offense, but like, geez, completing under 60% of his passes, a lot of interceptions, not that many touchdowns. And again, you're playing an Orion Day offense with these wide receivers in the modern era of football. I get it. But still, I think comparing, my point is, and Krenzel was gritty and tough and clutch. I love Craig Krenzel. Will Howard, to me, is clearly better than him. So I think if he wins the national championship, his legacy is going to be incredible, like right up there with, some of the best quarterbacks that have come through and some of the best stories like Cardale Jones and Krenzel himself. But yeah, man, he's at least going to be on that Joe Germain level if he, beats Michigan.
Yeah. And I was, I can't remember who it was. Somebody on Twitter X had posted Will Howard's numbers and Troy Smith numbers when he won the Heisman, and they're almost identical. Yep. And then some people made the statement like different eras. Actually, Troy's passing attempts were right in line with Will Howard's. So even though it's a different era, Troy still had NFL wide receivers on that roster, and his passing attempts, how much he was throwing the ball downfield, is right in line with Will Howard. So I thought that was fascinating when you look at the numbers and break it down. Like, I thought that, and I'm going back to the beginning of the season when we're talking about Will Howard, Dave. If you would have told me that Will Howard numbers are what they are right now going into the season, transferring here, I 100% would have said this team is winning the national championship with the talent that you have surrounding him, all the guys that came back. I felt like the missing piece was the quarterback. And if you were going to get this type of production number-wise out of Will Howard, I would have said, hands down, this team will be playing for a national championship. Well, here we are. I mean, everything's right in front of them right now. And the one thing that really excited me about Indiana, Dave, I think this team is starting to play some of their best football at the right time. And that's a testament to what they've been able to overcome as far as the offensive line. Now, the road's only going to get harder. Don't get me wrong. But you want to be starting to peak at the right time, especially on the defensive side of the football. Now, they do need to get the Igbinosun penalties under control. I'm going to ask you this: 2.5 over and under. That's what I said for Igbinosun penalties for Saturday. I said 1.5 last week, and he smashed the over on the first drive against Indiana with the penalties. What do you think?
Go under.
Under?
This is going to be the week where he remembers, okay, I'm right there. I don't need to just grab this guy all over the play. Like, this is the day it's just going to lock in for IGB. I want to love IGB because first of all, he's just a likable dude off the field. But like, dude, he's got the entire package. He just is way too handsy. It's like everything about him, else about him. I mean, he looks like one of those corners that's like he's tall and lanky. Like, can he really help in run support when you first see him? Dude is tough. He's a good tackler. He's got, I'll go under. Maybe I'll go barely under, maybe 2. Hopefully it's none, but yeah, I'll say
and we talked about it. Now, here's the thing too. We joke about it, but all jokes aside, he cannot have it tomorrow. And the reason why you can't have that is because this Michigan's offense, you can't give them any type of cheap yards. Smother them. Okay?
Right.
Jim Knowles, you're playing like your hair is on fire. You should be able to control the line of scrimmage. You should be able to dictate on that defensive side of the football how you want this game to go. If they are struggling to move the football and you're bailing them out with penalties, now you're allowing that Michigan offense to get back on schedule. That's a huge problem. And you can't have it, especially tomorrow when you're going against an offense who is going to be fighting and clawing to get every yard possible. And if you're bailing them out, you're only doing a disservice. And we talked about it last Friday, Dave, and Chimdi Chekwa and I, we both agreed like he's in good position. Like you're
Right.
it's not like you're necessarily getting cooked all over the field. You're in great position, but he always holds, and he has to trust his technique. Put the gloves, put the gloves back on him and stuff. Because when you look at the footwork, like there's nothing wrong with his footwork. He is just so handsy that a lot of these penalties that are being thrown against him, like dude, you don't even need to do that. You're in great position. Just get your head around. Don't wrap an arm, and hey, we're off the field. 3 and out. Boom. Done.
Especially when you're 6'2" with long arms. It's not like he's like a 5'9" corner and feeling like he has to grab to get it. It's like, dude, you're right there. I'm joking when I say this, but you know, like those mitts, those baseball players wear if they get on base when they slide so they don't break their hands. Maybe they just put one of those mitts on him so he can't grab people. I'm kidding, because you want him to be able to get an interception if it comes his way, but like that would prevent him from being able to grab. Just put those oven mitts on him.
Right.
All right, I got to ask you about David Sanders Jr.
Let's go.
I mean, if you were a crystal baller, would you put a crystal ball in for Ohio State?
I will put it if I had a crystal ball, I will put a crystal ball in for the Buckeyes to make the flip. There's something going on with him and his relationship with Tennessee. There's a lot of smoke about what's really happening. I've seen things, kind of venturing over to different Vols boards and stuff and kind of reading what their insiders have been saying. There's been some speculation about maybe their Tennessee's not coming through with the promises that they initially provided to him. So there's a lot of skepticism on that end. There's been some smoke that Tennessee is not very happy with their offensive line coach. There's a chance that he could be relieved of duty after the season. So there's been some kind of talk on their boards there. If he comes back for this Michigan game, Dave, all bets are off. I've talked to a couple people who's in the know as far as behind the scenes. They're confident about where things stand right now with David Sanders, the way things are trending. Definitely not a done deal just yet, but if I had a crystal ball, I would say the Buckeyes will get a flip here, and they're still working on some other offensive linemen as well. I mean, not only David Sanders, the Georgia Tech commit there, he is potentially open up to coming back for the game and could be a flip potential. I think there's the offensive lineman that they're looking at. He's saying that he may decide between Georgia Tech, South Carolina, and Ohio State. So there's a little bit of meat on the bone coming down the stretch. Time is running out, but if they can get David Sanders, man, if they can hold on to Naeem Alford, Dave, then you're talking about an outstanding class. I know we've lost the 2 defensive ends there who flip, and I don't get it. I mean, Colorado, like whatever. I mean, you want to open up your recruitment and go to Colorado. Best of luck to your kid. But yeah, I do think that David Sanders getting back to campus would be a huge statement. 2 weeks in a row. And what a lot of people were saying was those conversations last week were very, very serious. It wasn't just, hey, I'm trying to use you as leverage to run up an NIL bag, or, hey, I'm just here to enjoy a top 5 matchup. Everybody has said like it was very serious conversations that went on there.
It's crazy how Justin Fry is going to do a 180 in the eyes of a lot of fans of the way he's developing this offensive line. Loses 2 starters, arguably the top 2 players on the offensive line. If they can achieve their goals on the field, and then he's flipping David Sanders. I mean, Justin Fry is going to be going to go from persona non grata to like the king of Buckeye Nation real quick.
I mean, let's talk about that really quick, Dave. I mean, it almost looked like he was dead man walking. I mean, like literally. I mean, he was on the table, man. They had the oxygen mask on him, and it was just like, what is going on, like with the recruiting? And if you're able to have this offensive line playing at a high clip with all of the injuries, and you turn around and you get a commitment from David Sanders to put a cherry on top, that's a heck of a bounce back for Justin Fry.
I got heck of a news from a source. I'm doing What We Learned tomorrow right after the game. And I hear I might have a special guest. Jonah Booker, Jay Book might be joining me tomorrow.
I'll be on.
Yes.
I'll be on post game tomorrow.
All right, Jay Book's joining me for What We Learned live. So the show just got better. Right
I'll be on there I'll be on there fired up tomorrow, Dave.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's so nice hearing you say that. Just tomorrow. When's the game? Tomorrow.
Hey, you know the beautiful thing? We got a lot of football. I just checked the schedule slate today, and I had no idea that many games were going to be on today,
including an NFL game. But yeah, tons of college, which is obviously the most important thing. Have an NFL game snuck in there. Kind of. We even considered Chiefs versus your Raiders a real game. I shouldn't say that. Sorry. Like I'm a Bengal fan. Like I have any room to talk smack to anybody about anything. But then also Ohio State basketball.
Oh yeah,
sneaky good game against visiting Pitt. I like how they're doing that the day before the game. They've done this before, having Ohio State men's basketball game, but it's like against some scrubby opponent. Pitt's a good team coming in here, so this will be a good basketball game at 2:30 today.
I went to Las Vegas on Tuesday, Dave. I went to go watch the Kansas versus Duke showdown in Vegas, so that was pretty cool. Got to hang out at my favorite spot at the Bellagio out there. But listening, I was getting ready to leave out of there, and Antonio Pierce. And I know this is the Buckeye podcast, but we always get like just a smidge of the NFL. And I'm a Raiders fan, and we are absolutely terrible this year. Antonio Pierce did his weekend, little pod or whatever, and he got up there and said, "We know we're the worst team in NFL, going against the best team in the NFL. So why don't we go out there and ruin some people's Thanksgiving who's going to be betting against us?" But I don't see it happening, Dave. I mean, it would be like the biggest trifecta for me, man, to see the Raiders win a game, Buckeyes basketball win a game, and then the football team go out there and smash Michigan. I mean, that would be a beautiful, beautiful weekend.
I think you're going to get 2 out of 3 at least, and definitely the last one. And you're a better man than me when I'm not quite there with the Bengals now because I don't want Burrow to get too pissed off with everything that's going on. He's already pissed off. But like if I was in your shoes, I'd be rooting for losses so I'd have the best draft pick possible.
I am kind of rooting for the losses.
Oh, okay.
It pains me, but I hate the Chiefs so much, man, just to see us embarrass them on the standalone game on a Friday would be kind of awesome. Let me ask you this before we get out of here.
Yeah, buddy.
Would you take the Lions offensive coordinator to be the Bengals head coach?
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. I would love it. I would donate to the human fund if that happened for sure. Like, I mean, he's going to be the hottest commodity. He's going to work for somebody who's like a good organization. And as much as he should be on the hot seat, Zach Taylor's not on the hot seat because they got to the Super Bowl 3 years ago. So that gave him like basically a lifetime contract with Cincinnati. Hey, great stuff, man. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Great stuff is always out of Jonah Booker. He puts butts in the seats. Look at this big number. We have about 4,000 right now watching the live show.
And we got another 2,400 on X right now watching live. So
that's including that. That's it. Yeah. So 2,400 on X, 3,800 total, including Facebook and YouTube. And that doesn't include people who are going to be just listening to the podcast only version. So you guys rock. Appreciate all of our listeners, all of our viewers. Thank you very much. Thanks to Jay Book. Join us for What We Learned live right after the game tomorrow. Hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. Go Bucks. It's going to be
belt
great
to ass tomorrow, Dave.
That's right. BTA. Let's go. Go Bucks.
All right. See you.